In this Ultimate Team series, I make the best team I believe possible, picking players from all eras of NBA history. It isn't just about how talented the teams are, but I'm also trying to build teams that would gel and execute well together. Today, we're looking at the Ultimate Pacers team. Before I get started, here are the rules you need to know. To build each franchise's ultimate team, I will be picking a starting 5, a second unit representing each position, and then 3 additional rotation players at any position I choose. In total, there will be 13 roster spots. It's worth mentioning that I will not simply be building these teams based on how talented each player is, but I'll also be factoring in how well these players would do together as teammates. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting at point guard is the talented 6'5" athlete Tyrese Haliburton. He's still in his early 20s, but regardless, this young man has quickly developed into one of the best facilitators of modern history. Not only is he terrific at finding good opportunities for his teammates, but when he's called upon to score on his own, he's extremely efficient at doing so. In the 22-23 season, he put up solid averages of 21 points, 10 assists, and 4 rebounds on tremendous efficiency splits. He's also shown that he can raise his game when the stakes are higher, as he put up fantastic numbers during the NBA's first in-season tournament. This ultimate group will be in great hands when this young playmaker is running the floor. Starting at shooting guard is the perimeter assassin, Reggie Miller. Not only was he one of the greatest three-point shooters of all time, but Miller was also one of the most clutch players from his era, as he would regularly hit game-winning jumpers, and oftentimes it happened in the playoffs. He's a wonderful teammate offensively, as he draws the defense's attention with his constant off-ball movement, in combination with how dangerous he is from deep. And that way, he was really the prototype to Steph Curry, in the sense that you could never give him space, and you always had to keep an eye on him coming off of screens. At his best in 1990, he averaged about 25 points per game on deadly efficiency splits. He was also a monster in the 1995 playoffs, which is where many of his iconic plays occurred. Starting a small forward is one of the great wings of Pacers history, Paul George. You all know this guy. In his earlier years in Indiana, he was tremendously athletic, very talented, and had a bag full of skills. Specifically, in the 16-17 season at the age of 26, he led his Pacers to the playoffs while putting up about 24 points, nearly 7 rebounds, and 3 assists with exceptional efficiency splits. With Tyrese making plays for him, and with Reggie drawing much of the perimeter attention, I imagine that PG-13 will enjoy some of the most open looks he's ever had in his career, which should translate to some of his best percentages as well. Starting at power forward is the 6'8" Hall of Famer George McGinnis. At his peak in the ABA, George was one of the most capable scorers and rebounders in the entire league. For a guy his size, he had a solid combination of strength and quickness. He had the talent and the frame to play a finesse style of basketball, or a physical one if it was needed. Many of his points were scored as he glided to the basket, but he also had a unique, yet lethal, one-handed jump shot. He led his Pacers all the way to the ABA Finals in 1975, and he was doing just about everything for that team. In that regular season, he put up monstrous numbers, averaging a league-leading 30 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2.6 steals on 45% shooting. Amazingly, he took nearly all of those averages up in the 1975 playoffs. Without question, he was a big game performer, and he'll do well for this group. Starting at center is yet another old-school Hall of Famer, Mel Daniels. This 6'9" star played a very physical and aggressive style of basketball in the paint, as he basically never saw a rebound opportunity or a loose ball that he didn't think was his. Beyond that, he had a soft release on his pull-up mid-range jumper, which meant that he had various methods of attacking the defense. He led the ABA in rebounding 3 times in his career, and specifically in the 1971 season, he averaged 21 points and 18 rebounds while shooting 51% from the field. He'll be sure to provide plenty of second chance opportunities for his superstar teammates. Now on to the second unit. The backup point guard is the 3-time ABA champion, Freddie Lewis. This 6-foot point guard was extremely shifty, and with his unpredictable change of pace moves, he was extremely tough to defend. In his arsenal, Freddie had a quality pull-up jumper that he loved to shoot in transition, even from 3-point range. He was definitely a shoot-first guard, and in 1969, he averaged roughly 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists on 44% shooting from the field. He'll be a solid offensive spark plug for this team off the bench. The backup shooting guard is the 6'3" All-Star Victor Oladipo. His peak was short-lived in the NBA, and because of that, I think many people have forgotten just how good of a player he was in that brief prime. He was a crafty player who was great at finishing around the rim with his fantastic layup package. But then again, he also had the elevation to straight up leap and slam over the opposing center. He was also a solid two-way player in Indiana, and no season sums that up better than in 2018. That year, he averaged about 23 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and a league-leading 2.4 steals per game, all while hitting nearly 48% of his shots. For a variety of reasons, he'll be an amazing substitution. The backup small forward is the 6'9" weapon, Danny Granger. For a short period of time in the late 2000s, this guy looked like he was on his way to becoming one of the best wing players in the league. He had tremendous length, plenty of ball handling skills, and was a solid 3-point shooter. With his frame and abilities, he was reminiscent of a young Tracy McGrady. In the 08-09 season, he was an NBA All-Star and won the Most Improved Player award as he averaged about 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists on 45% shooting and 40% from deep. He'll enjoy going to work in isolation situations against second-unit players. The backup power forward is the 6-time All-Star Jermaine O'Neal. For a while, this 6'11" big man was just on the cusp of entering the conversation of the best power forwards in the league. He had a very polished game offensively, and in 2002, he won the league's Most Improved Player award. In the 02-03 season, he averaged about 21 points and 10 rebounds while blocking 2.3 shots per game. George McGinnis may be taking the majority of the minutes at the position, but O'Neal will assure that they won't miss a beat when McGinnis goes to the bench. The backup center is the 7'4" Dutchman Rick Smits. Even with his size, he was never viewed as an elite defensive player, but for what he lacked on that end, he certainly made it up on the offensive end. Smits had incredible footwork and had a soft touch with his hook shot and with his jumper, which made him incredibly difficult to defend in the low post. In 1996, he was second on the team in scoring as he averaged about 18 points and 7 rebounds on 52% shooting from the field. Now on to the 3 rotation players. The first is the Defensive Player of the Year winner, Ron Artest. This 6'7" small forward was the best player on the championship contending Pacers team in 2004. With his strength and instincts, he asserted himself as one of the best two-way players that the game had to offer. In the 03-04 season, he was an NBA All-Star while putting up an average of 18 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals on 42% shooting. If any wing is ever struggling to contain their assignment, then Artest will sub in and immediately start locking down the opposition. The second rotation player is the 6'10" power forward Detlef Schrempf. This guy was way ahead of his time, in the sense that he was a long, versatile player who could stretch the floor with his perimeter shot. He's probably most famous for his time spent in Seattle, but his absolute best basketball was in Indiana. He earned his first All-Star selection in the 92-93 season, and that year he did a little bit of everything on offense, as he averaged about 19 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 6 assists on roughly 48% shooting. The third rotation player and the last spot on the roster goes to the 6'5" wing, Roger Brown. He's yet another ABA great, and in his prime, he was viewed as one of the most difficult players to guard in one-on-one situations. With his range, he was a threat from just about anywhere on the court, and at his best in the 69-70 season, he averaged 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists on 50% shooting from the field. On a roster full of do-it-all type of players, Roger Brown continues that theme. So here's a final look at the complete roster of this Ultimate Pacers team. When looking at this roster, the one word that comes to mind for me is versatile. You've got a lot of guys who can do a variety of things well. They don't have many weaknesses, but it's also hard to say if there's one aspect of the game where I can expect them to dominate. Do you think this Pacers team has a shot at making the ultimate playoffs in the Eastern Conference? Let me know your opinion. Also, here's my list of honorable mentions. Should any of these players have made the roster instead? I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for watching as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.